At the point when someone communicates in a language we convert into our primary language to see. Kindly quit doing that from today. When you stand by listening to English, please tune in and see just English, not a interpreted adaptation of English. Will you attempt this subsequent point? Listening. When we pay attention to anything, we listen just for the importance. We don't listen. Tune in for language. While I'm conversing with you, all of you are paying attention to the focuses which I'm making. How is English significant? How to listen. You can comprehend a meaning, however significance isn't significant for improvement, for development. What is significant is language. What we require is language. When we tune in for the first opportunity, possibly importance comes. When I'm addressing you, just significance becomes clear. So when you are rehearsing listening, if it's not too much trouble, pay attention to the equivalent section over and over and again. Same section, not different one. Some discourse, you have such countless discourses here. Pay attention to those addresses on the off chance that they are in English over and over and again till it turns into a piece of your memory. God has given us a super PC. It is called the head-top PC, not work area, not PC. However, head-top free PC, you need to pay no cash. It is there. How much space is inside? Perpetual GB. I can't count, not 30 gigabytes, 50 gigabytes, unending GB space. There are many records which you can make for English. Now in addition to begin making some documents for English listening, you keep one document named English Tuning and listen consistently and store it in your mind by listening over and over. These days we have such a lot of innovation. 10 years back we didn't have such a lot of. Now you can record anything which you hear, which is great. Every one of you have your cell telephones. Record it, pay attention to it multiple times. Today when I go to my mama class, how innovative Osmania has become. When I enter my class, 20 telephones are kept on the table. My talk they record, they return home and they listen multiple times and they compose the test. This is the means by which cutting edge assists us with learning language. At whatever point you stand by listening to great English, record it in your PDA, assuming you are recording tunes. If it's not too much trouble, record a few English melodies. The most ideal way of learning a language is by learning cadence. Keep by harming. A considerable lot of you partake in Anakshari. When you don't know Hindi, they sing. My understudies sing 500 Hindi melodies from memory. They don't know Hindi. How did they discover that is the way English is learned? It is called as advancing by impersonation. Do you have at least some idea what impersonation means? To do what another person is doing. Guess out and about. One individual goes selling plantains, getting out. Whatever does a little kid do in a similar voice, same tone? The little kid rehashes on the grounds that the youngster is figuring out how to talk. Now we ought to become like those youngsters. We ought to mirror great English at whatever point we tune in. So I gave both of you focuses about tuning, and one is paying attention to great right English, the second is paying attention to the equivalent entry over and over and again. This you need to do consistently. Might you at any point do that? No one but scarcely any can do consistently. You need to listen. Now you have set up Master Vivekananda 150 years. In the event that you go to Ramakrishna Math, you will get some discs. You realize Vivekananda's addresses and all, you get one disc, 20 rupees or 40 rupees. That is enough for a very long time. You try not to need to purchase anything more than 1 hour disc. You listen just 5 minutes consistently. At 5 minutes you tune in for multiple times, same 5 minutes till that astounding English turns into a piece of your memory. Language is advanced by impersonation, so tuning in for actually intending that is language, not just for content and listening more than once. These two things if you do, then your wellspring of English is creating. Why we can't talk English. Why these understudies who talked so flawlessly. I was applauding all the time they were talking. For what reason could they talk so well yet not in English? Just two reasons. One is they never polished English. They practiced Telugu, so they are talking delightful Telugu. Their psyche is loaded with thoughts. They are placing it in Telugu, so we don't need thoughts. We don't require meaning. We try not to require subject. We want language, so listening will give you the language. The second thing that listening will give you is rightness. Today we hear a ton of English which isn't excellent. Each week I go for interviews interviews, sir, will be aware you know all universities in the twin urban communities. They call us as specialists to talk with English teachers. They are going to show English in designing universities. I see that as despite the fact that they have superb marks 70% they can't talk completely right English. They talk exceptionally in vogue, very highlighted English. You'd hear it, you'd sound goodness superb English, yet they make botches, so when you listen your accuracy likewise turns out to be great on the grounds that at the point when your educators showed you in the class you were unable to make English right. Presently you need to change. So in the first part of the day when you get up, very much as you do puja and you do washing and all, please do English. Could you at any point do that? Tuning in each day you realize we start with Vishnu Sahasranam. Now your Vishnu Sahasranam is English discourse. What did Krishna say? That anything you do you should do proficiently. On the off chance that you've come to influence, learn productively. Influence will make your life, making you is going fruitful thusly. Now you sitting here for 12 days praising and saying goodness sir you are incredible, then you return home, you forget gaga, you neglect influence, all that, nothing, no effect comes. Try to avoid that. Beginning from 13th of May you start 1 hour of training, paying attention to great English, tuning in over and over and tuning in for development. At the point when you listen your English becomes better. This is called as an establishment expertise. Establishment, you know whether you need a major building you want establishment, so for your correspondence listening is the establishment. Now another establishment is there, and that is perusing. Are you not perusing English for your entire life? Is there anyone who doesn't know ABCD? All of you know the English letters set, yes or no? Then, at that point, how could it be that we don't peruse anything? At whatever point you are asked, you know, what do you see outside? Numerous banners are there. The number of you read those banners in 8 days. At whatever point print comes, our eyes continue to bypass. We don't see. Don't be like that. Read everything which you find. Peruse all that which is English. However, perusing once isn't sufficient. Perused over and over again. I can give you an illustration of Vivekananda. Have you perused anything by Vivekananda? You know, everyone says, lady, if it's not too much trouble, give me a word reference for learning jargon. You needn't bother with a word reference. You read Life of Vivekananda. It is so wonderfully composed that you will learn jargon. You can pass your GRGMA test assuming you read that life. It is so wonderfully composed. 2 volumes called Life of Vivekananda by Eastern and Western teaches those 2 volumes. If you read, your English will turn into brilliant. Yet peruse doesn't mean read for the test. You know how you read for the test. You learn it completely by heart. You realize Indians are exceptionally smart. Please recollect, everyone of the entire world tells us Indians are astute. However, the entirety world additionally lets something else know, that Indians are exceptionally languid. We know it all. However, we work on nothing. Now when you read this section, anything, any book, understand it more than once. Perused it over and over. 1 page you read, yet perused multiple times. First time for significance, second, third, fourth, fifth time just for language. How are the sentences utilized? How is the language utilized? This is the very thing we require in light of the fact that basic botches in English will make you not fruitful. It is possible that you ought to get it done well, or on the other hand, don't do it by any stretch of the imagination. Then you say, we won't work in English, we will just do in Telugu. Sadly, when I asked my understudies, alright, tell me in Telugu, how great is your Telugu? They say, lady, we don't have any idea Telugu. Likewise, we don't know great Telugu. Likewise, we don't know great English. Moreover, what do you realize then? Least you know Indians, they have the capacity of language. Least you can learn amazingly 5 to 6 dialects. It appears to be that is the Indian capacity. Are you Indians or not? Is it enough? It is not. Show the characteristics of being Indian. You realize we have such countless abilities, and English is just a single additional capacity. So you either learn you know English great, or you say, I won't work in any work which peruses English. I will look for a task which needs as it were Telugu. However, at that point your Telugu must be excellent. That likewise is in uncertainty these days. Accordingly, what you want, you know what every one of you requires, tuning in and perusing as starting point for your insight of English. However, you have tuned in your past, you have perused in your past. That is not adequate. Assuming that you read and you listened consistently, you read English.